Days out from the attempted terror attack in Texas, a scary new warning about more lone wolf terror attacks right here on U.S. soil. Adding credence to the warning is the source, the nation's Homeland Security Secretary, Jay Johnson.
We're very definitely in a new phase in the global terrorist threat, where the so-called lone wolf could strike at any moment, which is why the FBI, in my judgment, has done an excellent job of interdicting those who are attempting to travel to Syria, who commit overt acts in furtherance of material support to terrorism.
Former Congressman Lieutenant Colonel Alan West joins us. Colonel, your thoughts, the fact that the Secretary has, I think he's amped up the warnings a little bit, put some people on edge?
Well, I think that the Secretary of Homeland Security should have been a bit more attuned to what is happening here with the growing jihadist network that we have in the United States of America. We have to start seeing the United States of America as part of this 21st century battlefield, because when you're talking about militant Islamists and Islamo-fascists and the support network that they don't recognize any borders. They don't recognize any boundaries. We should have been working with social media sites such as YouTube and Facebook and Twitter to eradicate the opportunities that these jihadists are using for those as propaganda platforms, and we have not done that.
So what do we do?
Well, I think first and foremost, the Homeland Security Secretary should sit down with those social media networks and talk about how we can start tracing these individuals and cutting down on the ability for them to use these platforms for recruitment and also to spread their messages. We need to develop through the U.S. Cyber Command a better way by which we can start deciphering these encryption messages that they are using once they get people drawn in. And we have to go back and let's be very honest, we have to do the trend analysis so we can have better surveillance instead of sitting back and waiting for the incident to occur. Out in Arizona, we knew about the young man who eventually drove 1,000-some-odd miles to come right here to Garland, Texas, and commit his atrocity or his planned atrocity. So we have to start peeling the onion back, and we have to start looking at those rocks that they are trying to hide underneath. We have to be proactive and not reactive.
You know, there's so many times that we have these terrorist attacks or attempted attacks that when we finally pick up the person, arrest the person, is we find out that they have been watched, whether it's the two brothers in Boston or whether it's overseas in Paris or whether it's these two in Texas, is that so far they all seem to have been on the radar screen.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Even Mr. Abdul Muttalib, who was the underwear bomber, we had intelligence warning us about him. Carlos Bledsoe, a young Memphis black man who was radicalized with Islam, traveled to Somalia, traveled to Yemen, got terrorist training, re-entered the country, and then went and committed a jihadist terrorist attack against the Little Rock recruiting station, killing one soldier. We know that Anwar al-Awlaki was exchanging messages with Nidal Hassan, but yet we still transferred him from Walter Reed Army Medical Center to Fort Hood, Texas. And we know what happened there in December 2009. So all of these things are going on. We have to get it right every single time. And I'm just very concerned that we have played a game of political correctness and we have not really put the spotlight on these, the sources from which these jihadists are finding their support right here in the United States of America.
Colonel, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Greta.
And here's a